Unlawful takings like this are happening all across the United States, and it is past time for the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and put a stop to them. The Erbs live in their dream house. They built the house they wanted to live in on the land where they wanted to live, in rural Pennsylvania, in the country they love, in the country their kids love. And all of that has been put at risk by a private company coming in and taking away their land by judicial fiat.
We built our current home that we live in now back in 2009, and then we had one additional lot that we could build a new home on. Our vision for the property when we purchased it was to eventually turn it into a homestead for all three of our boys.
Our dream was that one day the boys would each have homes to live on and enjoy this property, for their lives and with their families.
And those dreams were taken away essentially when the pipeline came through.
The pipeline changed our plans because they placed the pipeline through every possible section of our property that would have been used to put a future home on.
The Transcontinental Gas Pipeline Company is a private entity that's building a natural gas pipeline, all of which would be fine, except it's doing so using the federal government's power of eminent domain. Once the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission grants a certificate allowing a company to build a pipeline, that certificate automatically comes with the power of eminent domain. And once a company applies for a certificate, almost every single time they get one, and with it comes the power to take private property. The way eminent domain ordinarily works is someone who wants to use eminent domain to acquire property files a court case, and then a judge determines what a fair price is for the property they want. Once that price is determined, there's the option of purchasing the property at that price. But what's happening to the Erbs is instead of waiting for that process to play out, the private companies are taking private land long before anyone has determined what a fair price would be, and certainly before anyone's been paid a price, whether it's fair or otherwise.
We were told that the gas is flowing through our property, and we have yet to receive a single penny for the use of our property.
The upshot of this system is that the pipeline companies get everything they want and the property owners get nothing. Courts enter orders that give the pipeline companies immediate possession of the land they want and let the pipeline companies immediately begin construction of their project. And then these cases languish for months or even years before a court ever decides what compensation has to be paid, much less orders that the compensation actually be paid to the property owners who have already lost their land.
As a result of the pipeline coming through our property, we lost our privacy. We lost our love for our land, and more importantly, we don't want to live 400 feet from something that could incinerate us within 2 to 3 seconds.
People sort of think that once the pipeline's in the ground, it goes away because you can't see it. No, it's there. We're living right next to it. It doesn't go away.
Pipelines have a power of eminent domain. Congress has given them that power in certain limited circumstances. But it's a double-sided coin. Pipelines can get access to land, but the other side of the coin is that they have to pay the landowners for it. And here, Transco's had all of the upsides of eminent domain. They've gotten access to Gary and Michelle's land, but they haven't actually paid Gary and Michelle any money yet.
The Supreme Court has repeatedly called for judicial engagement when courts are scrutinizing the use of eminent domain by private entities like this pipeline company. But instead, the opposite seems to be happening in the lower courts. They're not engaging and strictly construing the use of eminent domain. They're reading it generously to let the companies get away with whatever the companies say is necessary to get their project completed. That's the opposite of what a judge is supposed to do in these circumstances, and that's what the Supreme Court has repeatedly warned us about. The courts are allowing these companies to take immediate possession, which is a power Congress never delegated to these private companies in the first place.
It's not the law. The law says is that they must settle with us first, and then they can use our land. That's the law. And they are abusing their power. They're taking advantage of a broken system right now.
The pipeline company acquired our property through quick take. We went to court and they had requested the access to our property to start surveying, and we feel as though it violated our Fifth Amendment rights, and the judge ultimately ruled in their favor and granted them access to our property to start surveying, clearing trees, and starting the project.
The pipeline company has never asked our permission to come on to our land. They have always assumed basically ownership of the easement area. So it's a little scary when you have people walking on your property. You don't even, you're not quite sure that they are there for the purpose that you think they might be there for.
They wear you down mentally, physically, and financially. Every private landowner is intimidated and feels like they have no other option. They want what they want, and if you don't agree with them or don't cooperate with them, they can get kind of nasty.
The pipeline company did not respect our property. We have always kept our property pristine. It's always been very neat. When they came through, they not only used it for parking their vehicles, tons of vehicles at any given time. There could have been 20, 30 vehicles parked on our property. And they also had piles of trash that they left on our property for months at a time. They weren't even on our property at that time, and they still left piles of trash on our property.
Our fight is more than just about our property. It's a fight for everyone that can't fight. It was something that we were called to do. And I just feel that in the end, justice will prevail and this thing will turn out to be something that's fair to everyone. Because right now, I just feel like the gas line companies are just steamrolling over private landowners and taking whatever they want, whenever they want.
Unlawful takings like this are happening all across the United States, and it is past time for the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and put a stop to them.
We're trying to follow the law. I feel as though they should follow the law too.